So, it's been a wee while since I did this, and you'll have to excuse the hair. This has been deliberately done because of certain other things I'm doing in my life other than this. However, I thought it's just too much of a opportunity to come on and actually speak with regards to Theresa May's betrayal of Brexit. Now, people are meant to vote on the referendum for us to leave the EU. And for us to leave the EU, we would be outside the customs union and outside the single market. This is not what Mrs May has actually allowed us or actually put in place for us for this to happen. She has kept us what looks like in the customs union, and there's different rules that will apply to Northern Ireland. So just now there's a number of no confidence papers in just now, letters to the chairman of the 1922 committee. However, I've got a sneaking suspicion. I think more will happen. There may be a confidence. Hello from Texas. Hello, Frank. I think there will be another confidence, or there may well be a confidence motion by next week. I think if people go home into their constituencies, MPs go home to their constituencies, and there's a big stramash by the people there about the fact that they're trying to betray Brexit again, then I think that Theresa May will probably have the 48 signatures or the 48 signed letters that are required to trigger a vote of no confidence, because what's going to happen is there is a majority, because of the gerrymandering within our political system. The MPs don't really reflect the true nature. I mean, if you accept that 17.4 million people voted for Brexit, that is not reflected in the number of MPs that are in our parliament. So what happens is that our media stops certain people getting in through the Conservative Party, the way that the selection process is done. This stops other people getting in that they don't want. We just saw a journalist called Janaya and Stephen Wolfe being denied entry to the Conservative Party. So basically the Conservative Party stop people getting into theirs if they're not part of the globalist cabal. And this is basically what we've seen. We've seen Theresa May and the globalists failing at the referendum. Now they want another referendum because they failed the first time. I think if there was a second referendum, it might lead to violence, because what you're doing is sticking two fingers up at the electorate, and from the democracy they were all voted to come out of the EU. Hi Hank, how you doing? We all wanted to come out of the EU, the undemocratic EU, with 28 unelected appointed commissioners dictating our legislation, where the second chamber, the elected chamber, only can say yes or no whether or not they want only one manifesto that's coming out of our political class. So, our commission, the European commissioners. So we don't have a choice of manifestos. It's just what the 28 unelected commissioners are dictating to the democratically elected EU Parliament. What the 28 unelected commissioners are wanting as the manifesto. That is not representative or accountable to our electorate, which would be the people in Europe, if they were having a European Union. But we've already seen now the moves towards Europe as an actual state, the moves towards a European army. All our lying globalists, like in the Liberals, the SNP, the Greens, every one of the major parties are part of the globalist cabal. There is individuals potentially within each of the parties who are not globalists, but each party, even in Scotland, the Conservative Party, Ruth Davison's a globalist. She's the head of the Scottish Conservative Party. The Labour Party are pretty much globalists. I think some of the left on the political party, but who are Bennite, maybe Tony Benn supporters, maybe aren't part of the globalist cabal. But the Labour Party as a whole, there's probably more, and especially in the parliamentary Labour Party, more Remainers and more globalists than there are Leavers. So none of these, so the Scottish Parliament's not representative of the 17.4 million people who voted to leave. The Scottish Parliament's not representative of that. Probably the Welsh Assembly. So if you're part of the 17.4 million people, you can only vote for UKIP. Only UKIP has got an agenda that will allow, that says getting out of the EU on a proper basis. The rest of the parties do not have that facility, and they don't want to have the facility. They are corrupted by our corporatist elite. So we've got corporatist globalists who are corrupting our political class and our political system through their aspirations. So we are not getting the Brexit that we actually voted for. Theresa May has basically fudged it. We should have been going for a Canada plus deal and having zero tariffs with the EU. That would have been the best scenario. But the globalists don't want that. The globalists want to try and keep us in. Now, as I've not read yet the full extent of the 500 pages of the actual treaty and what's in it. But what I've deduced from what Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Mogg have said is that it's effectively keeping us within the European Union, and it's certainly keeping us part of the customs union, and that we're not going to have the Brexit that everybody voted for. We voted for a Brexit to be outside the customs union, but we could have had a zero tariff trading arrangement. This would have allowed us to trade freely with the EU and with other countries, which would have been much better. I mean, there was too much made of a frictionless border. So now the people, our friends, kith and kin over in Northern Ireland, are now going to be treated differently by the regulations, which they said they didn't want to be done or didn't want to happen through May's treaty agreements. So I don't know how the DUP, I think the DUP will go home over the weekend and reflect on what it is that is actually in the treaty. And all the other, so we have got, because the gerrymandering within the Conservative Party, that they gerrymander the way to actually get people who are part of the globalist cabal in seats where it was predominantly Brexit. So you've got a Remainer who's misrepresenting their constituency and maybe support May's half in, half out. Not going to work. It's going to be an atrocious situation for everybody. I've always told you that the quicker May goes, the better it is for all of us. She's a dogged politician, but that doesn't mean she's a good politician. She's certainly a wee bit more like a limpet, and the fact that it's very hard to prize her off. But that doesn't mean she's a good politician. I think she's very weak. I think she's potentially deliberately weak in the fact that she has not negotiated this treaty in a manner that would actually benefit the UK. So I think there's major problems. I think if a Remain MP goes back to a constituency in England, which is full of Brexiters, they might have a hard weekend. They're going to have a hard job justifying supporting May's proposal in a Brexit seat, because this is not Brexit. And they're going to have a hard job this weekend. So I think a lot of people will be writing to their MPs, writing to their members of Parliament, and especially those in Brexit seats, and saying that this is not Brexit. And we knew that she was going to fudge it. How a Remainer was getting in charge of a Brexit process, God only knows. And what Gove is doing to backing this, somebody that was meant to be supporting Brexit. I mean, Gove has proved tremendously duplicitous, not just with what happened with Boris Johnson, but now again, political self-interest rather than the interest of the country. I would be very surprised if, I would be very surprised if he even stood for Conservative leadership again. But I mean, what a very slippery character. And I'm not sure if he's doing it for his own self-interest. Yeah, because I don't think he's doing it for the interest of the British public. So we've now got a big problem. That's we've now got Theresa May, and because of the infiltration of globalists and corporatist globalists who are non-democratic and a disgusting bunch in the Conservative Party just now, that we are not actually going to have the Brexit we voted for. The Brexit we voted for was to come out of the EU and then obviously negotiate free trade agreements and police cooperation, whatever else it was going to be from out with. This is not this treaty, as far as I can see and as far as I'm led to believe. And we're still going to be ruled over by the foreign courts, and we're still. I mean, the Conservative Party never wanted to manage immigration anyway. It's a total fallacy. The corporatist globalists wanted to do any sort of management of immigration. They're letting people walk in through over the coast. They're not deporting them. They're not preventing them, and they're actually giving them preferential treatment over people who have built this place. They're giving people sleeping bags and letting them sleep on the streets. And while they're making them second-class citizens, there's no mass deportation of illegal immigrants. I'd like to see Mog those labels hard Brexit, leave the Conservative Party and join UKIP. Yeah, it's time. I think it is time. I think if Mog gets in, that would be absolutely great. I think Theresa May, what Theresa May has done about things like letting in Islamic terrorists to do hate speeches and not punishing them, but Lauren Southern, quite an innocent wee girl, getting labelled far right, a reporter, and being banned from the UK. I'm absolutely disgusted at what's happening in the UK. It just disgusts me, and it's the reason is because you guys are voting for the Tories and the Labour Party, the Liberals, the Greens, the SNP, all globalists, all of them globalists. Not one of them have your interests at heart. They are globalist parties, and the EU is not democratic. The EU is not democratic, and the fact that they're wanting a second referendum on the actual on the first referendum because they didn't like the vote is not democratic either. That is again anti-democratic. To have a vote, and we haven't even implemented the first referendum, and even with the implementation of this, now Theresa May might actually fail to get it through Parliament, so that would then go into a no deal. So we would have no deal because they would fail in the Parliament to actually get through. So there would be no actual point. There would be no deal in the actual Parliament for actually putting that through, because she might not get a majority. If Labour vote against, if SNP vote against, if the Brexiteers vote against, DUP vote against, the whole thing could fall. UKIP have my vote, and I have voted for them before now. Yeah, well, I think I'm probably going to join now anyway. I mean, this is obviously quite clearly a betrayal. The Tories can't be trusted, the Labour Party can't be trusted. They're talking about a second referendum as well. And so none of these parties can be trusted. I mean, the fact that the leaders, I mean, Diane Abbott, breaking up people's rallies by her brown-shirted anti-racist crap. I mean, they're the ones that are acting like fascists. And John McDonnell, to economics, what Fred West was to temporary lodgings. I mean, it's just absolutely. I mean, you'd have to be brain dead to vote Labour. Anyway, but I mean, the Tories are just as bad. I mean, just full of corporatist globalists, more and more regulation, preventing competition, stopping certain things happening in the economy that could happen better. Less competition in the banking because more and more regulations, more and more financial penalties to stop companies starting up. It's just about control for them. They are corporate globalists, and that's what they are. They're not capitalists, they're corporate globalists, and they're non-democratic as well. I think that might be why in the last 40 years Islam has encroached so much into the UK, because Islam is a theocratically fascist totalitarian ideology as well. So I think that's why the corporate globalists have allowed so many people to come in without actually enforcing an immigration policy. I think it's that sort of people replacement that the Conservative Party are doing. The Conservative Party won't control immigration. They won't get rid of. They won't deport illegal immigrants. They won't. They'll probably still give them housing ahead of the population. They'll just move out. They'll just move out the indigenous population and get them out, and then we'll see the decline in these areas, which is what we've already seen what's happening in London. I mean, the murder rate's just going off the Richter scale, and that's because of the Conservative Party again. So I could only hope that MOG is going to actually take over. I think the MPs just now are going to have a long weekend. People are going to start contacting their MPs to find out what exactly is in this treaty, because we've all been quite left in the dark. Nobody's actually really said what exactly is in it. You've heard it from MOG and a wee bit from Nigel Farage, but you've not really heard the ins and outs of how this treaty is going to play out. And I think the DUP will be vital as well. I think they'll go back to Northern Ireland and see if this is past their red line, which I think it is. So really bad time. Brexit's been fudged. Brexit name only, I think, has happened. And we will have to wait and see over the next period of time whether or not May. By next week, we'll find out if May is going to go. But she's tenacious. I'll give her that. She's certainly tenacious. Not very good, but tenacious. And I think we'll find out over the period of time whether or not May is going to actually get kicked out by next week. And the leaders, Javid, Boris, MOG. Boris is ahead of MOG. Apparently Javid, I don't know who's going to vote for. I'm certainly not voting for Javid, is being played in. But I guess because in the last 40 years we're playing identity politics, well, if you're a woman, well, obviously going to be good. I mean, Merkel, May, Nicola Sturgeon. I voted for 2 out of the 3 of those, and I don't think they're particularly good. May following thing, she's mediocrity and tenacity is not a positive thing. Yeah, in this scenario, yeah, it's not a positive thing in the scenario, because obviously she has made the worst deal. But we knew that. I mean, to vote for a Remainer during a Brexit process must have been the height of lunacy, and to think that we were going to get some sort of proper Brexit scenario. But that's what the Conservative Party are, full of corporate globalists, and our political parties have been corrupted. What we really need is a clear out of our whole Westminster. We need a new party to clear out all of the political parties, get rid of them all, and let's start again. Let's get some new thoughts into our political process. But what happens is, luckily through social media we can connect now to the people, but what the BBC do is very fly, and the media down there, they don't let anybody else on other than the corporate globalists, and that then skews the debate so that they look like the norm, and they're not probably the norm with 17.4 million people voting for Brexit. They did not represent the people. So if you are one of the 17.4 million people who voted for Brexit, now is the opportunity to then go to UKIP. I think UKIP is going to be the only political party that's going to represent you and represent the vote that you actually had. You can't trust any of these parties. Remember when people said the parties are all the same? Well, that's correct. The parties are all the same, unless you move right away from it. And all the smearing of UKIP and all the disgusting things we've seen over the last number of years and I've never been a member of UKIP, so I'm not. I've just been observing, so I've never had a shoe in the game for UKIP. But Ollie, I think they're scared now, and I think they will become scared of us actually now all joining UKIP. So I said I was going to join. I think the time is coming closer and closer for me to join UKIP. I think this is the nail in the coffin. I mean, just to get rid of the Conservatives, the Labour Party, the Liberals, oh, yeah, and the Greens, oh, they're disgusting. What a great day that would be. So, if you're part of the 17.4 million Brexiteers, stop voting for the Conservatives. They're not interested in you. They're not going to change. They've got an agenda. They've got a manifesto that they tell you, and then they've got an agenda, which is what they don't tell you, which is what the Barcelona process and the Union of the Mediterranean is, where they've already signed up to the Barcelona process to allow millions of people in to the UK, to Europe and the Union of the Mediterranean, which extends the free trade area into Africa and the Near East, or the Middle East, but the Near East as well. So they've already signed up to that. They did that in 1995 and 2010. And then what they did was they said it was a refugee crisis, and that's why they allowed the open door syndrome. And I mean, it's disgusting. They've done that. They know they've done that, and that was the Lib Lab Con Party that did that. And they never told us, they never gave us any information. It's not been in broadcast, it's not been in any sort of media. All the media have kept stum about it because they're in bed basically with the politicians. I mean, you have to get it second hand through people like me. So they lied about the fact that these are all refugees. Now, not only did they lie, so poor guy earning his money coming into the UK when they know that they've all signed, their political class know that signed up, then the political class, the Tories, give the person a fine, give the truck driver a fine if anybody's stowed away on the trucks. So you get a £3 fine. I don't know if it's per person or per truck or whatever the fine is for any stowaways in Dover getting on your truck. So the government's induced the situation, and then they fine the working man for doing his job because of their induced situation about these fake refugees who are predominantly young men, but fake refugee system where people are jumping on trucks. George Soros' backed NGOs are telling them what to say to get refugee status in the camps. They're going out and deliberately doing the camps. People are phoning back to where they're coming from. Oh, you can do this, and then you can actually manipulate the refugee system. But the refugee system, even with the NGOs and all that, it was still already signed up by our scumbag globalist corporatists who are heavily influenced by the globalist corporatists that throughout the world. So we're basically still going to be retained within the EU, and we're still not going to be doing our own laws, and we're still going to have, I think, some sort of exposure to the European justice system as well. So, I mean, that's there's some major things that are going to come out. I was absolutely furious what had actually happened, and I think we're going to see more and more people coming out and phoning their MPs and complaining about Theresa May's bad deal. Is it worse than a no deal? No, I don't think a no deal would be better. A no deal is not a no deal anyway. A no deal would be a trading a zero, hopefully a 0% trading arrangement, which would be fine. Frictionless borders. I mean, well, a slight friction in the border is not going to kill a lot of businesses anyway. And what would be better is having international deals where we have zero tariffs on produce from throughout the world. That would actually make our economy boom and make everything cheaper for us as individuals. But they don't want to do that because obviously they've got a shoe in the game. So this is a real problem. But I think I'm joining UKIP. I've said it before anyway, I think, but I mean, it's just all sort of accumulating to the head that none of the MPs or the MSPs in Scotland either are representing us. May's deal's useless. She was a Remainer. She should never have been in power in the UE, is in for the the EU negotiations, and just a waste of space, an absolute waste of space. Guys, get sharing this. What I'm going to do is start to ask for donations, because what I want to do is I want to do more broadcasting. I want to get more guys, more interesting broadcasts. So I'm going to ask for donations, not just now. I'll wait until I do the next broadcast and get somebody interesting for it. But I'm going to ask for donations so I can go and go to places, get better cameras, start editing the things. I'll do some really interesting stuff for you in the future. I'll do the evolution of National Socialism from Marxism, and Engels, who was the first advocate of genocide. So I'll do some very interesting stuff, and I'll show the timelines and everything else and how it worked out and who was involved. There'll be some very interesting historical stuff, and that will give you a real handle on some of the issues that are happening just now. So I'm going to ask for donations in the future, guys, if you're enjoying my stuff, okay? And the more, obviously, the more you give, the more I'll do. I'll get green screens and projectors and proper videos. I'm only doing this on the phone just now, but I'll get some really fun stuff, and I'll go and do some really great interviews with some very interesting people as well. So that's basically what we're doing just now. But very interesting time. May might get the 48 no confidence letters to the 1922 committee chairman by next week. The whole thing might come tumbling down. May might not, even if she doesn't get the 42 letters, she might not get it through Parliament or deal through Parliament. If she doesn't get it through Parliament, then we go to a no deal. It would only be, if we didn't go through Parliament, then we would go to a no deal. I think the Remainers think that they're going to get a second referendum. What is it, best of three? If you don't win the next referendum, are you going to win a third referendum? Is that, will we do, if the Leavers or the Brexiteers lose the next referendum, do we get another referendum, make it best of three? You can't have another referendum. It doesn't make any sense. You're out. So if May's deal does not go through Parliament, we then by default go to a no deal situation. The no deal situation would then be what I was talking about. So we might still win the argument anyway and go to a no deal, zero tariffs situation where we have a free trade agreement, which means we can make our own free trades. There might be a bit of friction in the border, but I prefer my democracy to a bit of friction in the border. Thanks very much. Anyway, guys, love you all. I'll speak soon, and thank you, my baby gorillas.